Wallace, San Angelo Freedom Defenders. Been bombarding y'all with emails, and I hope one day you'll actually respond to one of my emails. You said you'd be glad to respond. I hope one day your office will actually respond to it. I wanted to reach out to Shannon. PCR test, what are the count thresholds Shannon is using? I've asked Shannon directly 6 times what count thresholds are you using. I've asked Dr. Veredas, the city, but we're calculating all this information to shut the city down or to enforce these restrictions on citizens without this knowledge, without this data. So can we get an answer for that? PCR test.
That?
What count thresholds is Shannon Hospital using?
Thresholds. I'm not aware of account thresholds that we use on a PCR test.
That's how you calculate your PCR test.
Sir?
That's how you calculate your PCR test.
I understand.
So the CDC recommended back before April, Dr. Fauci said anything over 28 should be discarded as a false positive. What is Shannon Hospital using? What threshold?
I would have to consult with our lab. We use a national PCR test, but I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, see, I've contacted Lindy Stone, the spokesperson, and I get the runaround saying, well, we could follow the guidelines, manufacturer guidelines. So is Shannon withholding this information, or is this just not really available? Because the reason why PCR tests are so important, the rapid tests, because if you're detecting something that's already dead, anything above 28, we're detecting dead cells. So we're getting false positives. You heard the CDC came out a couple months ago about the 92% false positives. So we're leveling this kind of tyranny upon citizens without this data. So does a PCR test mean you're infected? Does a PCR test mean you're contagious or you're sick?
Yeah, that's a great question. I can tell you our experience with the PCR test. So if you're exposed and you develop symptoms and the PCR test is positive within a few days, let's say within 5 days of that, it is extremely accurate and very sensitive. So there's a high likelihood that you do have coronavirus. However, after day 7 or so, you have RNA particles in your respiratory tract that will show positive on the test because it's very sensitive for approximately 3 months. So initially we retested lots of folks over and over and found that they were continuously positive. They're not contagious.
SpaceX just announced today, Elon Musk, the owner, said he sent 4 tests out. 2 have come back positive, 2 have come back negative. Here in San Angelo, I work with people who have had their family go in twice and get different results within a week. We've had people here in San Angelo get calls when they're sitting in line with these long, right when we first started all this drive-through rapid test stuff, filled out the paperwork, had to go for a meeting for the family. The line was too long. Got a call from Shannon Hospital, said they're positive. They're going to put a sign on your door. So where's the accountability? Who's putting checks and balances on Shannon Hospital with the data collection? Because at the 9 a.m. phone calls you guys talk about every day, the citizens are involved. We don't get a say. Who's putting the checks and balances? Who is Shannon reporting to? So my question is,
Go ahead.
My question is this kind of tyranny without the data to prove this such worth it? Mayor Gunner, to be just a statement, I'm quite disappointed with your reaction to this. You know, we talk about, and Mr. Chief Floyd, we talk about how these socialist ideas are coming from California. I can't tell the difference between you or Governor Newsom. I can't tell the difference. I can't tell the difference if I have freedom to breathe free air or breathe it sucking air behind this thing. So I have a challenge to each of you to actually live up to the standards that we elected you to do, is to represent us, be accountable to us, and protect our freedoms. My health has nothing to do with you. It's not my job for your health. as harsh as that sounds, but our constitutional fundamental rights protect that. Nothing else. I'm sorry that comes off as blunt, that I don't care. I do care. I care more about freedom than I care about your personal health.